Good morning and welcome back to another TCP Newsbreak. Guys, I am so excited to share this Newsbreak with you all. This is a phenomenal organization, and not only that, I have a phenomenal representative here today to share with you about Sisters of the Skies. So just take a moment, think about what that means. All right. So I have here this morning Captain Teresa Claiborne. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. Can't complain. Just introduce yourself if you could. Just take a moment to introduce yourself to our audience and just talk about your aviation background a little bit.
Okay. Like Whitney said, I'm Captain Teresa Claiborne. I'm a pilot for United Airlines. Presently, well, actually, I'm not qualified even on the 757, 767 any longer because of the pandemic. I've been grounded for a little while, but I'm just about ready to go back to training, and I'll be training on a 787 Dreamliner, which is a Boeing, next month. I am a prior military pilot. As a matter of fact, I was the first Black woman pilot in the United States Air Force. That happened many moons ago, and I'm happy and proud to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you. So, I mean, now before we get to Sisters of the Sky, I do want to take just a little moment to talk about you just being a sister in the sky, in the military. just a little bit about that, if you wouldn't mind. Just about a little word of encouragement for other women who are interested in military and the Air Force and aviation.
Okay. I wish all of it could be encouraging, but the fact of the matter is, I joined the military back in 1982 and went to pilot training. And like I said, I was the first. And here we are, fast forward to 2021. And, we can barely eke out 150 Black women who have at least a commercial instrument rating. And that would be with civilian aviation or an equivalency in the military. So we're not doing that great. And that's part of why Sisters of the Skies to us is so important. We want to make sure that young women who either know they want to be pilots, like your 9-year-old, or young women who don't know yet that they want to be pilots are exposed. That's the only way we're going to increase the numbers.
Right, right. And I think so often, and I don't want to call it a stigma, but I think that so often Black and brown children kind of think, doctor, lawyer, uh, social worker, police officer, maybe ambulance, EMT. Um, but there's so many options. There's such a variety of industries to become a part of, and aviation and becoming a pilot is definitely something that can take you across the world.
It really is. It really is. I still am in awe when I walk through the airport and I see the eyes just staring. And it's not just from Black and brown, it's from whites too, because we are such a small number that they really are looking like, who just walked by? Well, what did she do? And I've been called the sky cap, I've been called the flight attendant, I've been called the police officer, I've been called a lot of things, everything but the pilot. So it happens. And part of that is just because there's not enough of us. So we want our numbers to get to that point where we're just happenstance, right? Oh, there's another woman pilot, another Black woman pilot, right? But it's a lot of work to be done.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that even now in 2021, there's still a lot of barriers that we're breaking as a society. And there's so many more to break. Like, I think that so many people think, oh, civil rights happened and now we're done, and it's like, no, there's a lot more work to be done.
There really is. I mean, if you think about just the fact that we now have a Black woman in the second highest seat in the land, how hard is that to get to? Yet we still only have 150 Black women pilots in the United States. I can speak to United, for instance. United Airlines has about 12,000 pilots, a few more than that. 900 of those pilots are women. 17 of us are Black women. So we're such a small number. We have a lot of work to do. We really do.
Wow. Sisters of the Skies definitely sounds like an appropriate name. Definitely. Because I can imagine you guys kind of spotting each other at the airport or somewhere else, and it's kind of just like, oh my goodness, hi, nice to meet you.
Without a doubt. You know what? Most of us actually, when we see each other now at the airport in uniform, because of our organization, we know who each other's are, right? There was a time when myself walking through the airport, it's like, I see a Black woman and it's like, do, 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 right? The sonar comes on. And who is that? But now we kind of know who each other is. And, that's what it's all about. Part of our whole thing is just being able to be there for our sisters, be that shoulder, be that support.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, how did you become involved with Sisters of the Skies? You're a board member, correct?
I am.
So, how did you get there?
Okay, so in actuality, cute little story. The organization was founded by, really kind of started by two pilots who, believe it or not, social media has a great story. So one young lady, Angel, was a Coast Guard pilot, and she was perusing Facebook, and she saw Nia, who's a United Airlines pilot, and Nia flew this airplane that Angel thought was just an awesome airplane. So she actually, friend of a friend kind of a thing. They weren't friends yet. So she sends her a message basically and says, oh my gosh, you're flying my favorite airplane in the world. And they get to talking. And it's like, well, how many Black women are actually out there, either in the military or the airlines? And Nia's not sure. And Angel's not sure. And they get to talking and they decide, you know what, we ought to like all get together just so we know who each other are and so that we can be supportive of each other. And, I like to think that I was the third person to get in on it. I know Nia gave me a call and said, hey, Teresa, and Nia had been with Continental, which is now part of United. But, we knew of each other, and she reaches out and she says, hey, Teresa, listen, I just met this young lady, she's with the Coast Guard, and we're thinking about having an organization, Black women pilots. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in. She didn't have to do any explaining. Yeah, I'm in. So since, honestly, I'm old enough to be both of their mothers, they initially said, okay, you're president. Because there was just three of us at first until we started reaching out to everybody else. And they said, you're president. So I was president actually when we first started. We've changed some roles now, and those two have stepped up into the lead. I'm actually on the PR team. And of course, I'm part of the board. It's kind of natural, being the OG, which to me stands for old girl. And yeah, that's pretty much how that started.
Wow. So I knew I was having a phenomenal interview. I just didn't know how phenomenal this interview was going to be. So
Oh, you're
guys, yeah, this is a surprise to me and for my audience as well. Man, all right, that is awesome. And just the Sisters of the Skies, how long have you guys been an organization, and how many members do you have currently?
Okay, so that conversation between those two happened in 2016. We got together, we were incorporated in 2017. So we are a 501c3. And initially, like I said, we were just kind of like, hey, how you doing? And we would get together, not on Facebook, but on GroupMe, which is more private. And we would deal with a lot of different things. Like, we had once we got young women, and we would have questions like, well, I flew with this guy the other day and he kind of said this, what do you think? And everybody's piling in with, what they thought we should do. And it just kind of grew from there. And then the next thing is like, well, you know what? Let's make this more than social. Let's start reaching out. Let's start mentoring women. Let's give scholarships. And now here we are. We just went over 100 members, which we're very excited about. Yep. And remember, I told you, we only think there's around 150. So that's doing pretty good. So we're trying to get those other 50, right? I mean, here's the interesting thing. A lot of times people, it seems weird, but they don't know who exists. They just don't, especially if let's say they're not on social media. And that's why we're getting people all the time. And someone says, hey, I ran into a young lady the other day and she's instructing at this little airport. And well, hey, see if she wants to join up with us. And you have to be a commercial pilot or a military equivalent in order to be a part of our organization. And we're not trying to discriminate, but we are saying that what we're doing, mentoring and offering scholarships, we can't expect someone who's just now baby pilot, doesn't have any hours. We can't expect them to be at that same level. So we're here to help them rise to our level and just make it all better. And it's really been, since we've been given scholarships and everything, it's amazing how many young women who were not able to be members of SOS, Sisters of the Skies, but are now members. And a lot of that based on the fact that we have, gotten some sponsors, raised money, given scholarships, and they've been able to get the next ticket, then the next ticket, meaning licenses, in order to be able to be a member. So it's an amazing thing.
Wow, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. I'm sure you guys are probably still in all having your meetings and everything like that and trying to find new ways to get those other 50 women, and then also finding ways to find young women and kind of, mentor and water those seeds that they have for aviation and everything like that.
Right. Just to butt in, your 9-year-old, she's 1 year too young, but we have a program called Girls Rock Wings. And we initially did that, I think it was 3 years ago. This last year, we had to cancel because of the pandemic. But with that program, we took 10 years to 18-year-old girls down in Houston. They were with us all day long. Beautiful museum, the Lone Star Museum. They got an education in what it's like to be a pilot. They got to go on a flight. A small Cessna or Piper, whatever, there are a couple different airplanes, and they flew with our SOS. They flew with our Sisters of the Skies. We thought it was very important, extremely important, that the pilot who took them up in the air looked like them. So not that we wouldn't have liked help from other pilots. No, we wanted Black women to take these young women up in the air so they could see this is not just something we're talking about. This is what we're doing. Great program. We just can't wait for this pandemic to be over so that we can get back to the business of getting those young minds involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had saw that on your website, and I was wondering if that was something that you guys had did at other aviation museums.
Well, you know what? When we first started out, it was in Houston. One of the young ladies, she lived in Houston. The Lone Star Museum is in Houston. Last year, we were supposed to do not just that one, but a second one in probably Miami. So we want to get to the point where we can bounce around the country. If we can get sponsorship, that makes it even more possible. Because a lot goes into getting the whole thing together. And it's just a one-day thing, but it really takes a lot. We think that in the future, we will be able to do that, kind of bounce around the, country. Maybe we'll be in Philly, or maybe we'll be in New Jersey, or, somewhere close to you guys.
Oh yeah, I would. I'll be waiting for that. I subscribe to the email blast, so I'll be checking, vigorously waiting to hear that you guys are back up and hosting that.
Right. Or, listen, sistersoftheskies.org. Go there. You can find out what's happening. You can find out what's going on with us. You can find out what's going on, what we're planning on for the future. You can find out about our scholarship winners. This year, January 26th was Bessie Coleman's birthday. And we are looking at $100,000. We're going to try to give out $100,000 in scholarships this year. Up to this point, we've given out about 50,000. And so it's a monumental task, but we're down for it. And, you know, obviously we need sponsorship, but that's how we get these young women within our ranks, is by helping them out. Aviation is very expensive, very expensive.
So with that, I did see that you guys do mentorships with girls that are about 16 and over.
Right.
And work with them to, I think it was to get like a junior pilot's license.
Right. You know, there are certain things you can do. You can fly solo before you could actually drive a car. So yes, there are ways to do it. And so we do have a mentorship program, and it's really only limitation is the fact that, remember, like I told you, there's only 100 of us, and we are all doing our own thing. We're all flying. So we get these young ladies and we mentor them on different levels. Some are in a very programmed mentorship where they get assignments of what they need to do. And others are a young woman who's maybe going through a program and she calls up and says, you know, Teresa, I had the worst day today. I could not do power off stalls to save my life. And we just talk through it. That's one of those things that was not there when I went through. It made it extremely difficult that if I went up and had what I call a bad ride, I didn't have anyone to come home and talk to about it, which can help us get through it. So all different levels of the whole mentorship thing. Yes, we start them out. We try to get them at as early as 16. And then we have those young women who have not attained that commercial license, so they cannot be a member of SOS, but we're trying to get them there. And so we're mentoring them too.
Wow. Yeah. And you know what? There's a lot of that across industries, right? You know, we have people who have these interests, but they can't move forward in the process because there's no one to mentor them. You know,
right.
the department head, you know, isn't there to mentor them, or other people in higher up position.
Right. It's very important. And I mean, it's important for everyone, but I think it's even more important for us, women of color, because there's sometimes so few of us in these positions that a lot of times if you don't see it, you don't believe it, you don't think you can be it if you haven't seen it, right? So you just, I can't put enough emphasis on how important it is for us to give back to our community by helping young women. And I don't just talk to young women about being a pilot. I mean, if you don't want to be a pilot, that's okay. Whatever you want to be, there's some steps you need to take to be that. And to me, that's the most important thing. So mentorship, like I said, walking through the airport, you know, I get these smiles, I get these young kids. If I can take a picture with a young girl or even a boy for that matter, I do. You know, they come up to the flight deck, they want to take a picture, they want to sit in the seat, have at it. We have pictures of members who, when they were little kids, sat in an airplane seat and now they're pilots. So yeah, if you see it, you can believe it, or you can be it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Captain Teresa Claiborne, board member of Sisters of the Skies. Guys, you can visit their website, sistersoftheskies.org.
Correct.
And they are a nonprofit 501c3. So please visit their website, make a donation. And we will also be dropping that contact down in the comments. So you guys can go ahead and visit their website. Captain, is there anything else you would like to say?
No, just young people, get out there and do what you need to do so that you can achieve whatever your goals are. And if they're not goals yet, they're still just dreams. Dream until you can work on it and make it a goal and make it happen.
Awesome. Well, guys, stay tuned for more TCP in the morning.